Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining our UiPath webinar today, hosted by Ingram Micro's Emerging Business Group. My name is Carleen Edge, Marketing Manager here at EVG. Today's training will last approximately 30 to 45 minutes. And just in terms of general housekeeping items, your lines have been muted for the duration of the presentation. If you do have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in the Q&A box on your screen, and we're going to address them throughout the presentation. And today's session will be recorded as well, so I will share that recording link with everyone in our follow-up correspondence. So that's all for me today. I'll hand things off to Chet Chambers, Senior Director of Enablement at UiPath. Chet, take it away.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for coming today. Please don't hesitate to shoot a question. She's going to read them straight away. Don't worry about interrupting me. I don't work from a script. I'm a 15-year plus RPA guy. I've been at UiPath a little over 4 years, and I love this stuff. I mean, RPA and automation completely changed my career. I'm a 30-year IT guy. Was big into EDI. Was a RPG developer on an AS400. But when I found automation, when I found RPA, I just really grabbed hold, and it has done wonders for not only me and my career, but those people that work around me and work with me. I've been able to positively affect their lives, and that's one of the things that you need to think about when you're pitching RPA or the fully automated enterprise. Excuse me, or hyper automation. When we're talking about these things, why do we care about automation? Why do we want to do automation? Well, because we make human life better. If you don't like parts of your job, have the robots do it. Okay. Well, when we talk about having automation and robots did not come to take your job. Okay. They're to work with us, and we're to help our customers help all of their employees get more done, because they can offload some of that workload onto their robots, and be they attended or unattended, where unattended runs in the background and attended runs out there on the desktop. But we can start to offload work from the humans, that repetitive, mundane work, onto these robots. Now, how is this industry, and I'm talking about the automation industry at large, how is it affected by the economy today? How is it affected by the pandemic? What do the winds of change? What effect do they have on RPA? Well, the pandemic and all of the things that we've gone through in these last couple of years have accelerated the need for automation. Okay, when the economy gets bad, when money gets tight, when things get tough, the need for automation increases. Forrester put this out around the pandemic, that it actually did not slow down the automation industry, but it sped it up. And phase one was about enterprise automation. What is it that we can do to make life a little bit better? And then as digital transformation came on, the pandemic hit, and we saw that there was a rapid increase in the need for automation. Now, if you're talking about the different companies that do automation and RPA and whichever buzzwords you like to use around this industry, UiPath is far and away the leader. We're always in the upper right-hand quadrant with Gartner, and with the other people that look at this industry unanimously agree that UiPath is way out in front. Now, why? Why is that? Well, automation, when it started out, was just simple task automation. I want you to pull the data out of this Excel spreadsheet and load it into that AS400 or whatever backend system you're working with. Well, that very rapidly changed, and it became hyper automation. And hyper automation was about taking RPA, this layer of task automation, and wrapping it with the AI skills, computer vision, and OCR, and algorithms and different AI components, but having them drive the automation, machine learning and process mining, long-running workflows. All of these things were added to the automation functions, thus giving the reach of its effectiveness a great boost. And we see it across all industries. Automation is not pigeonholed to manufacturing or retail or the medical or to the banking. It is across the board. You do not currently have a customer that would not benefit by adding capacity to every single employee inside their organization. A lot of times I hear, well, Chet, we just don't have budget. We just don't have the budget to get it done. I know we need to do it, but we don't we don't have the money to get it done. But one of the ways to combat that is, how many employees are you going to hire next year? What if you didn't need to hire that many people? What if you were able to take this increased workload or this current workload and a reducing workforce and be able to get all of that work done, because the robots are able to take a big portion of the work, freeing those individuals, those humans up to do the thing that humans are good at. Humans were built to create. How is it that automation is going to be able to work across the fragmented back end of most organizations? When you look at most organizations, number one problem that they have is fragmentation. Now, you look at SAP. There are a set of things that SAP does extremely well. Well, there's a different set of things that Oracle does extremely well. Then NetSuite does some other things really well, and so on and so on and so on. But none of them communicate with any of the others in their environment. And that's where the power of automation comes in, especially with platforms like UiPath. I can interact with an SAP system, an Oracle system, Slack, any of the different platforms that exist in your organization. I can pull data out of one and seamlessly load it into another. And these robots that we're talking about are going to interact with those backend systems the exact same way that humans do. Okay? And when I say that, what I'm talking about is computer vision. Our robots today are able to see the screen the same way that a human does. Now, in the old days when automations were built, if anything changed on the screen, the robot broke. That's not the case anymore. So now if the field I was pulling was in the upper right-hand corner, and those web designers do what web designers love to do, and they changed up the interface and they changed the view, and now that element that I need is down in the lower left. In the old days, it would break, but today it doesn't, because the robot is not looking at geography on the screen. It's reading the screen, it understands what's there, and it's able to find those data elements no matter where they are in the screen. And the next thing that makes RPA so powerful is not only are the bots able to see the screen, but then through AI and algorithms and machine learning models, it is able to think about what is it that it should do with this data element. Okay, and then it can actually perform whatever function need be performed. So think about, when you think about robots looking at screens, they can see, they can think, and they can do. And there are a number of different pieces of the platform here today, and we don't have time to go through them all. I'm going to give you a broad overview of what the platform looks like in its entirety. But I want to talk to you about this automation as it's continued to grow. It started out with just that little robot there in the middle, and then we were able to copy and paste, and we were able to scrape data, or it expanded, and now we're able to read semi-structured data. We're able to fill in forms. We're able to summarize text. And we don't see this slowing down. As we continue to grow the platform and the technology continues to mature, we're able to do more and more and more complicated functions that it used to be only humans could do, and we're able to do them over a variety of different systems. With the computer vision, I don't care if I'm looking at Citrix, if I'm on a VM, whether it's Mac, whatever it is, I'm able to interact with those systems and seamlessly move in between those different systems. Well, why? What does that do? Well, it increases the resilience of that automation, and it increases the speed at which we are able to develop and deploy that automation. One of the things that gets me excited when I tell you that every one of your customers benefits from automation, here's just a simple example. Imagine reading a form in semi-structured data, unstructured, or maybe it is structured. Either way, the robot would be able to go out and grab that document, whether it's in a system or a database or an email or an attachment or a body to an email. It's able to grab that information. It is then able to extract it using OCR, understand what it is. I'm going to show you the form that we ran this against here in just a second. But document understanding will then go and compute all of the fields. It will absorb all of the fields, and it will give back to the user, hey, I've looked at this form, I've looked at this sheet, I've looked at this document, I now understand it. Here are all the important data elements. Okay, if the human approves it, it'll go through and run the function. If not, that human is able to go in and validate those different data elements, retrain the model, and you never have to train it again on that particular function. And when we talk about complex forms, this is a tax form. Okay, we loaded the tax form, let the AI run the system, identify all of the fields, but we went, you know what? We don't want it to look at each one of these fields this way. So you're able to go in and modify the way that the system is looking at those fields, what data elements it's pulling in. It makes a first pass, makes all of its general its general determinations of what these fields are. But a human is able to go in here and go, I don't want you to look at these fields individually. I want you to look at this group of fields and classify that as your identification number. This is just to give you a feeling and an understanding that we're able to take data from any system in any format, read it in, understand what the data elements are, and then perform whatever the functions are with those data elements. Another new thing, another really strong thing inside UiPath and the automation space in general is AI, machine learning models, algorithms. If you ever want a great day, go ask a data scientist to show you what's going in the lab. When you want to see them cry just a little bit, have them show you what's in production. It is a million miles to go from the lab into production. Now, when I was over at HP, I ran data science, analytics, and robotics. And one of the things that we were able to do was to take those algorithms in their entirety, put them into a canister, and drag them into our workflow as a function. Okay, so I'm pulling data. I used a robot to go grab these data elements, load it into my algorithm. My algorithm was able to run it in its entirety. Then whatever that AI puts out, I'm now able to use in the rest of my workflow. And this is something that's been very hard for humans to do in the past. You can use our models. You can build your own. Or there are many companies, H2O, Data Robot, a number of them that build machine learning models that are already out there today. And here's just a few examples. I won't read them all to you, but in general, resume matching. Why would Martha, sitting over in HR, read all 500 resumes that came in, only to find that 10% of them were a good fit? Today, the bot will go out, open the email, extract the resume, read the resume, match all of the elements that we're looking for, the requirements for the job, to that resume. And if it's a good match, then it'll pass that one on to Martha for her to then, conduct an interview, whatever it is that she needs to do. But that initial workload of having to look at all of those is now given to a bot, freeing her up to help onboard her new employees or offboard those who are transitioning to somewhere else. If you want to talk about financial services, what types of models are there? Fraud detection. Over 12 billion with a B, $12 billion worth of fraud was prevented in New York City through the Workman's Comp program by having a robot run over all of the data and look for the red flags. They weren't able to slip through the gaps anymore. We're going to pick up the pace here. As UiPath, when we talk about it, it is a very open system, and it was built. It was built with the thought that all of the technology that's out there needs to be able to sit on top of this platform. We need to be able to interact with it. We don't need to have to. We don't need to have to go recode everything. We want to be able to take machine learning models from Data Robot. We want to be able to use the OCR provided by Abby. We want to be able to put that in Azure or AWS, and we want to be able to work with all of the different conversational understanding tools that are out there. Druid, for example, our chatbots don't just interact with you. They don't just answer your questions. They can then go and perform the functions. I'll give you an example. In banking today, when you get on chat, you're usually not chatting with a human, you're chatting with a chatbot. Well, if you tell that chat session that you want to open a bank account, Drew will come back and go, okay, would you like to open a checking or a savings or a money market, or what type of account would you like to open? And this is the information that I need. And as you interact with that bot can then go and perform the function of opening that account. It's a very simple example, but I want to give you an understanding of the things that are possible through automation today. When we look at automation, we need to be able to take all of the automatable work and automate it. There's no reason for people to continue to do mundane and repetitive tasks. Swivel chair is a great example. I need to take data out of this system and put it into that system, or I need to be able to pull it out of this system, marry it with data from another system, and push it into a third. Then another thing that we need to do is we need to be able to provide this sort of support to everyone inside your organization. So these customers that you're talking to, it's not just a few bots for a few select people. Everyone inside your organization should have a digital assistant working on the things that they have to do every day. Development's not going to only be done by developers that sit in IT. In fact, over at HP, I worked for controller, the corporate controller in controllership. But with the simplicity of being able to build out automations, you can democratize that development through Studio X. And we're going to get to all of the tools here in just a minute. But you want to be able to unleash AI across your entire organization. There are some really brilliant people doing some really, really fancy math, and they're able to make predictions that are very accurate. Okay, the UiPath gives you the ability to employ those things into your automations as they exist today. So Everest did a little study. It says, why is it that automation groups, automation departments, why is it that they struggle? Top 4 reasons that they struggle are lack of a healthy pipeline. Well, we've got an entire section devoted to discovery, which will help you determine where is the next place that I should automate. Another reason that RPA programs really struggle is that organizational silos. Well, great thing about automation is that it breaks down those silos. It's able to interact with all of the different groups and all of the different systems. Another challenge, a big challenge, is the orchestration of human and the machine workforce. It's not going to be one or the other. Humans and machines need to work together on getting this work done. And the 4th reason is that there's a shortage of automation talent. You either have to buy it or you build it. I say it's a joke. It's true as the day is long. I built my career on the backs of interns. I would take college individuals that were sophomores, juniors, seniors in college, train them in how to build automations. And now when school started back up, you don't go back to waiting tables and bartending. You're building simple automations for my organization. It's an untapped market, and they have the skill and the propensity to be able to pull these together. I'm going to jump through a bunch of these and get down to my favorite slide where we can look at the entire platform. This deck normally takes about 90 minutes to do in detail, and that's not what we're here to do today. We're here to show you why UiPath, we're the leader in the market by far. Why now? We know that with the current state of the economy, that the need for automation is going to continue to grow. And we know that organizations across the board are allocating and moving budget from things with a very slow ROI to things with a very high ROI. If you look at this wheel here, this lays out for you how UiPath looks at automation discover, this discover section here in the red. How do I know what to automate? 70% of all programs that fail because they spent their political capital, their time capital, and their dollar capital automating things that didn't matter. Okay? We worked really hard and we automated these functions, but these functions didn't affect the bottom line. So how is it that I know where I should be automating? Well, Discovery Suite will help you do that. So with process mining will show you where the bottlenecks are in a current process. Invoicing, for example. 27 different routes that an invoice can take. We find that the biggest choke point is on step number 2, and it's a 6-day from the time that it enters step 2 until the time that it leaves step 2. Well, that takes us to task mining. Step 2, if we deploy task mining, we can see every single step, every single screen, every single click. And if we use task capture, we can then capture that and build out a PDD, a process design document, and export it to a XAML file, which will give us the skeleton of our robot. So in Discovery, process mining shows you what the system does. It shows you where your bottlenecks are. Task mining shows you all of the steps and what is being done in that particular step and how is the entire department doing that. Task capture gives you the ability to record this. Did you know that 60% of the time from the inception of an idea to the delivery of that automation, 60% of the time is spent documenting that process. Task capture takes all of that away because in a single pull, you get every screen, every click, you can go in and make notes, and then it will produce for you the document that is required by the development team to be able to build that automation. And then Automation Hub. We want to tap into the entire organization. We want everyone with an idea about what should be automated. We want a very quick and very clean place for them to enter that idea, give it to the COE, the Center of Excellence, and let them build that automation. The Automation Hub is where you will build your community around your RPA program. Okay, so now that we know where we should be automating and what we should be automating, how does that get built? Well, it's a number of different ways. First is the Studio family. So Studio Pro, that's going to be used by your big core, your back-end developers, and they're going to be able to build up very detailed, very difficult, very complicated automations because they're experts. But then Studio X can be used by your regular power user. It's all drag and drop. There is no code writing in it. It's pulling functions in to a workflow and then just configuring them to work with that function. And then, of course, the test suite. Why nothing tests a robot better than a test robot? And it gives you the ability to dynamically build test sets to cover all of the possible scenarios. Over a 65% reduction in the total cost of support if you're using Test Suite. The next big tool was the one that I showed you there in the beginning, is Document Understanding. Document Understanding gives you the ability to consume semi-structured data. It uses AI to go and identify all the different data elements. And then a human can go in and update or change that model. So now forms or documents that come in or are pulled from any system, you're able to consume those because now you can readily extract that data and put it wherever it is that you need to put it. And then the marketplace and integrations, all we've talked about today was going through the front end in automations. If your company is big on using data hooks and APIs, absolutely compatible with UiPath. Most of the connectors are already built. And you're able to do back-end to back-end automations very quickly. And in the marketplace, there are thousands of automations that sit out in our marketplace today that others have built. We've verified that the code is safe and put it out there that you can download and run. Manage. How are we going to go about managing all of these bots? When you have 10 bots in production, no big deal. When you have 100 bots in production, a little bit bigger deal. And when you have 200 bots, 500 bots in production, then you need a way to manage and understand what every bot does, okay? Listen to me here. If IT is going to buck you, they're getting nervous about this. You can't run these automations in our production environment. Yes, you can. Governance and management is built in the very core of the orchestrator. An orchestrator is exactly what it says. It orchestrates those bots. Every step that every bot takes is recorded. Test manager, if you continue to run those test robots against your automations over in the test environment, as IT or other groups make changes to screens, you'll know that your bot is going to run into a problem before you get into production. Nothing tests a bot better than a test robot. The AI center, that's where those algorithms and machine learning models and humans are able to work together on taking that algorithm out of the lab and getting it into production. And when there's a little problem, when there's a hiccup, when there's something unexpected happen, human can interact and retrain that model on the fly. And then insights. What is the value of the automations that you're delivering to your organization? If you are not measuring the value of these automations, then why are you doing it? Okay. Management, upper management in particular, is not going to know the value that you're bringing to the, how many hours did you save? How many dollars did you save? What error rates went down? What is accuracy doing now? All of those things can be measured in insights. It's all the KPIs that the majority of our customers want to see built in a single place. And then engage. Where is it that humans and bots are going to work together? My favorite here, one of my favorites, is apps. So imagine you've got a pretty complex function or you've got a pretty complex automation running in your environment, but humans need to go and interact with it. In less than a day, you can take apps and put a front end on that. So if anybody familiar with .NET and HTML, you know, those are the interfaces. They're clunky and they're pretty fast on being able to build an interface. With apps, you build it in a matter of hours. And you're then able to interact with that system or bot. The digital assistant, that talks about a robot for every person, means all of us should have a little tray there at the bottom of the screen that's going to bring up all the automations that have been given to us and run them. It's like having a digital assistant. That's where the name actually came from. Martha comes in on Monday. She runs 3 reports, waits for them to finish, extracts data from each one, formats it in Excel, and then posts it out to SharePoint. Well, not anymore. Now, when she comes in on Monday, she opens her tray, clicks Run Monday Morning Reports, and the robot takes care of all of those functions. The Action Center, this is where humans and robots work together. Should there be a problem with a data element or there's an issue with a record that the robot is processing, in the old days, it just stopped. Today, it hands it to the Action Center, grabs the next record, and keeps going. Now in the Action Center, a human could come in and change the record, delete it, approve it, whatever needs to be done, and then give the record back to the bot. The bot will then scoop the record up and continue to finish. And then chatbots. And like I told you before, our chatbots using Druid not only communicate and understand, but they're able to take function. They're able to do functions on the back end. I got a running joke that says, you know, we gave Max Headroom a body, for those of you old enough to know who Max Headroom was. So this is the platform. This is how we discover. How do we build it? How do we manage it in production? And how do humans interact and engage with those automations? But all of this is encircled by our function, our ability to measure. If you're not showing, if you're not publicizing the number of hours, the number of dollars, the accuracy, the error rates, all of those things back to your organization, why are you doing it? Okay, measure, be able to show that ROI. If you're not break even in a year and a 5 to 6, 7 to 1 ROI in 2 years, something's wrong with your program. Okay, and if you encompass all of that with governance, understand that a lot of my competitors can do some simple automations, but they're not trackable, they're not traceable, they're not governed. It's like releasing automations into your organization, whereas with UiPath, everything is governed from a centralized spot. Now, this is all available in your cloud, in our cloud, in any of the public clouds, or it's available on-prem. Or you can do a hybrid deployment where some of the things are on-prem and some are in the cloud. Okay? So that's a lot to take in just a couple of minutes, and that's 27 minutes and 30 seconds. So like I said, I love being on time. Are there any questions? Are there any pieces that you'd like to hear a little more about? Don't hesitate to put them in, and you can ask me anything. Anyone?
Not seeing any questions so far, chat.
All right. Well, those are the things, the high points that I wanted to run over with you today. Like I said, if there are any questions or anything that you'd like to see more of, we've got a few minutes, and I can take you through any piece of this that you'd want to see. If you want to know why would businesses want to do that, I'm happy to address any industry, any department, any vertical. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your time today. I hope it was useful for you.
Thank you so much, Chad. And I will be sending out the recording link to this webinar. If you do have any questions at that time, feel free to ask, and we'll put you in contact with Chet directly. So everybody have a great day. This does conclude our webinar, and we'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.